All right, here we go. Got cut a little short. Got cut a little short on the last podcast. So I'm going to kind of take over where we left off. We were doing an interview with the mother. With Josh Amos, missing since I believe 2023. I think he was 32 years old. So he's been missing for a couple years now. Where was that? Illinois. And sorry, this one I'm not real hip to. I'm not as knowledgeable as far as like remembering all the details as all the other ones. There's a lot of cases I got in my head. And so if I said anything wrong, I apologize. But let's go ahead and get back to the previous interview here. And I believe it's right where we left off. So let's go ahead and lean in here. Dig in, lean in.
Talking. Again, nobody following him. There's no cars following him. No people on foot following him. And then 7:28 is when we see him on the video at EJ Mortar Trucking. He turns around. He walks back to Lincoln Avenue by the fire station there. Okay. He turns, and at the time we thought that was the last video. But then, like I said, Chelsea saw him on video on North 19th Street. And that's the last official sighting we've got on him on video.
Yeah, and Lance said, I think he just wanted to clarify one thing. It's a little hard for me to follow the directions because I don't know the area, so I apologize. So Lance is the one that had originally asked if he was seen at any stations past 19th Street a little bit ago. Then he just follows up with, my point is that he walked that direction and was not seen coming back the same direction, so he must have either walked the tracks or beyond the tracks to some point.
And we have searched the tracks. We have, as far as we could go, there's a single set of tracks, and then there's a track station with quite I guess double tracks or whatever. So he would have had to make it over the first set of tracks and then either go under. There's an underpass, and it was running with water though, and it was cold. I don't see him going in that cold water, as cold as he would have been at the time. Right. Or he would have had to walk over a different set of tracks. We've had drones up and down those tracks. We have had dogs up and down those tracks. There's always empty railroad cars on those sets of tracks. And one of my concerns was he got cold, got tired, and possibly got onto one of the railroad cars. Maybe woke up in a different area. If it was him that was mugged that morning, we were never able to verify. That was kind of my first original thought. Well, if it was him that was mugged at 5:30, 5:15 that morning, and he was hurt, could he have had concussion, got lost, and just couldn't find his way back home? If it wasn't him, could the cold have just made him so disoriented that he got onto a railroad car and just didn't wake up?
This person who saw the mugging, I'm sorry, I thought you were finished.
The person that claimed to see the mugging, she was a homeless woman that talked to my younger son.
I was going to say that. Why didn't you call the police right there and have them?
Yeah, and I think the police eventually did. Washington Park Police, I believe, eventually talked to her and she denied it. And then I think she gave them a name. But either way, we never got proof that that happened. I just don't know. We don't know.
And S. Hicks asked, the friends I am sure have been questioned. She asked if the friends have been questioned.
Here he is.
I'm just wondering if he mentioned where he was headed.
We're covering up the mom with the
you already,
comments.
as far
I'm
as the
not
second
doing
part of
that.
the question, you already, said what he said to the bus stop lady. But
Right.
The friends have been questioned, correct? I know you said you spoke to them, but do you know if the police have?
No, as far as I know, Washington Park tried to talk to them. It got set up, and then we thought we had a good lead. A good tip came in. It was not. So that was rescheduled, and then they just never followed through with it. The reason why I haven't
The police
pushed
didn't follow through, or the friends?
the police, we thought we had a reliable tip. They were scheduled, the friends were scheduled to come in and talk to the police. It was canceled by the police because we had another tip we were actively looking into. We were all at the police station, all getting ready to go out, thought it was a good tip.
So I'm going to stop it right there. I've watched this interview, I believe, before, and I never caught that. The police never interviewed the friends. Wow. That could be something there. I mean, you always got to interview the last people that were with him. If anything, not to say, hey, they had something to do with it, but to get an they would, if anything happened, they would know what happened, or just to get an understanding, a feel of like, if he was intoxicated, how intoxicated was he? Was he in the right state of mind? Was he talking about meeting somebody? Was he talking to other people in the bar you remember? I mean, if they didn't interview the friends, then, man, if this is foul play or some sort of homicide, there you go. Like that could be why this isn't solved, or yeah.
Anyway, I know a lot of people are still bringing up the friends. I get that, but with Josh not having his phone, and with video proof that nobody was following Josh, there's no reason to suspect.
There's always a reason. I'm sorry.
Foul play. And it would be easy as
somebody's missing. There's a reason to suspect everybody. I'm sorry. Maybe she's just, she might really know something she's not putting out there, or she felt this way here. I don't know how long ago this interview was. She feels a different way now. She's just a kind-hearted person that doesn't want to believe that, hey, somebody would do something. I'm sure she wants to believe her son's still alive, and I hope he is. But I mean, you gotta suspect everybody.
His mom to blame them, but I'm not going to do that because we don't have proof.
She's a good person.
We just don't. The one friend that he was with that night has been helpful to me. He's very respectful. He'll answer any questions I ask him. He stayed behind to help look that night. He never found them. He even told the police at the club, I'm looking for my friend. Are you guys talking to him? Because we can't find him. And the police officer said, no, Joshua Amos. And that's why his name was ran that night. Said, no, he's not one we're questioning.
Hey, nothing for nothing. I'm not saying nothing, but, if I had something, it's a theory or hypothetical theory to throw out here, in my opinion, that like, hey, if I had something to do with this and I wanted to throw people off their scent, I would act helpful too. And why I'm being helpful, I'm kind of finding out like where people are in this investigation too. People that, a lot of times these people will do something, and I'm not saying they did or they didn't, but if there was a, foul play on this, criminals a lot of times go back to the scene. They can't help themselves. They got to know what's going on. Silence, what's the saying? Silence is deafening. Silence could be really loud.
We're not talking to a Joshua Amos. We don't know where he's at. And that friend stayed behind to search the club, went to the local gas station, talked to him. The other two, as far as I know, went straight home. Unfortunately, they didn't stay behind to help look, but I don't know why, I know there's a lot of questions. I have questions too.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't know if we'll ever know the answers to some of our questions, but things weren't handled exactly like I would have liked them to be handled the first 6 weeks or more that Washington Park had the case. And they just weren't. Most of the family's not happy by the way it was handled. It's not, like I said, it was kind of like we were batting our heads up against the wall to get help.
I hear that very often, unfortunately, with families.
Yeah, they didn't have, they kind of had the attitude, well, he's a grown man,
Right.
He's an adult. He's got a right to be missing.
But to me, it's still my child. I wanted more help.
Oh, it will be.
Yeah, he's an adult. He's got a right to be missing. They're unfortunately, they're like that with children too, or minors, and they go missing. Oh, they'll show up. 48 hours.
And it's hard when they're adults and they're missing because honestly, no laws have been broken. So you can't, I think a lot of people, we're so used to watching a TV show and everything's settled within an hour, and unfortunately, that's not how it works in real life. It takes time. We have gotten some tips that I want the answer right now. And it takes sometimes a couple weeks and you're waiting on pins and needles for the answer and it never comes. Or when it does come, it's not good or it was a bogus tip. And it's just a heartbreak. It's such a roller coaster ride that brings so much stress. And, you're lucky if you get a 7 hour sleep because you just got all these questions swirling in your mind all the time. And a lot of prank phone calls, a lot of hateful messages, a lot of tips where they start off by saying, I'm 100% sure this is him, and it's not. And it's the heartbreak of, wow, this person's saying they saw him. They're 99% sure it's him. And then they send you a picture and it looks nothing like him. And then you go through that heartbreak all over again. So I've kind of taught myself how not to get my hopes up too high because the heartbreak afterwards is too much. It's just too much. So I don't know.
Denise, can you take over? Just take over for 1 second. No, sorry, I just wanted to move. My dog's acting up. I don't want him to be on the mic. I'm going to leave you in control for like a minute. If that's okay. Okay.
It's putting families in a when you have to relive these moments over and over. I don't think a lot of people understand what the families have to go through and
Absolutely.
What each one of you have to deal with because they don't realize, or maybe they do, how many people are messaging you, wanting to get information, wanting to know this, wanting to know that. Josh was, from what I understand and what I've been told, he was absolutely wonderful friend, wonderful brother, wonderful dad, and, each one of us have our faults, but it's not, the whole purpose is he's missing. And, even though there's not much there that has led up to the reason, he's still missing. And getting people to just share his story, share his flyers, helping whenever, we have a search, it means the world to a family. And that's where, I try to encourage people, give these families a break. They deserve, help by sharing or understanding. But each time you have to go through one of these leads that are hearsay. Oh, I heard this or I heard that.
Mhm.
It's leaving you guys in an area that you don't deserve.
Right. Yeah. And on the flip side, I've met so many wonderful people that have truly been a blessing to us in so many ways. Like you, Denise.
Thank you.
You reached out to me, I think, day 2? I
Yeah.
think we've been talking since day 2.
See, audience, I tell you all the guys, I tell you guys all the time, Denise is awesome. She
is.
right
She
on
is.
the mix.
For sure. And there's so many people that have been so helpful, and our family feels so blessed to have met the people we've met through this. But definitely, if you feel like you've seen him, call Illinois State Police.
Yes.
Take a picture if you can, if it's safe to do so. I don't want you driving down the highway and you're trying to fiddle with your phone and take a picture. But if you can get a picture and send it to me, but please don't say I'm 99% sure this is him.
Right.
Mhm.
Because I've heard that, I'd say at least 100 times, and it's never once been him.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you start off a conversation saying, I'm 99.9% sure this is him, I'm right off the bat, I don't get my hopes up. And I know I had one person that got really upset with me. She called me on Messenger and she said, I think it's him, 99% sure it's him. And I didn't get real excited.
Right.
I guess I didn't sound excited enough for her. And she's like, I can't believe you're acting like this. You're not excited. And I said, I've learned from experience. I can't emotionally put myself through that. I can't do it again.
Right.
I am going to try and stay hopeful, but not get too excited where I end up heartbroken again, because it's too emotionally hard to get back up. It's hard enough just getting up out of bed in the morning, some mornings where, it's just hard. So, I appreciate the ones that have gotten a picture and then sent it to me. Could this be Josh? I've gotten pictures from people in Texas and California and Chicago and Kansas City, all across the United States. I had somebody that works in a hospital sent me one from California and saying, is this son yours? He's in a coma. He's been in a coma for this many months. And unfortunately, it wasn't Josh. But yeah, please, before you, just don't say you're 99.9% sure. It's too hard.
When I had come back, you guys were talking. I kind of caught the back half of the conversation when you were saying contact police if you see anything. I also have your information, just like your profile on Facebook, in the description for people to contact. Do you want me to not have that and only call the police, or how do you want to do it?
That's fine. I think most people know about the Bring Josh Home site, and we've got over 11,000 viewers, and we also try and share pictures of other missing people around the area, because it's quite a big following now, and that's the way. I know the first couple days are so important. So important, and it seems like the trail gets cold so
48
quickly.
hours. Yeah, that's why.
And it's hard for me to remember what I did a week ago on a certain Tuesday. So you're talking almost.
Yeah, I mean, 48 hours is crucial. And they wait. I don't understand. They wait 48 hours. Like, if somebody goes missing for more than a couple of days, that's not good. Because if somebody's in water, I think it takes like 3 days for them to come up, or a week. I don't. Yeah, I mean, my uncle. Yeah, it was 3 days, I believe. I could be wrong. I was like 11 or 12 when it happened. But yeah, I mean, somebody doesn't come home tonight. Okay, somebody the next day, you're like, hey, have you seen them? The second day, you're like, we haven't heard, for somebody in 2 days. That's worrisome. And I feel what she's saying, the 99 or 100%, 99%. But I wouldn't discourage any tips. I think she was just saying to send them to the police department. It would be tough. You get your hopes up, and then, it's not your son.
Almost 11 months out. That's hard to remember back then, And When we see a missing person in the area in Illinois, Missouri, we try and post it on the page so that people can get the word out as soon as possible. So if they want to message me on that page, or they message me on I have mine set to private now. If I'm not, but you can still send me a message.
Right.
I honestly changed my phone number, got rid of the phone I had because too many messages that at first I had my phone number on the Bring Josh homepage, and I was getting calls. I was getting messages at 2:30 in the morning. I hope you get a good night's sleep. Well, I was actually asleep and he just woke me up. So I do put my phone on silent now at night because if anything happens, I'll see it when I wake up. I can't not sleep any longer. It's, for a long time, I was only getting maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep, and it was hurting me physically where I wasn't doing well. So
yeah, please make sure to take care of yourself.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, it's understandable, but you got to just find a way, especially sleep. So important. Done in Darkness asks, I wonder if he could have. I was wondering something like this too, actually, earlier. I wonder if he could have had a hot flash from hypothermia and tried to get in water to, quote, cool off, not realizing he was actually freezing, just due to him being kind of, in the cold so long. And I thought about that too, because you know how when you're cold, if you get in cold water,
hypothermia, they'll get, like, you get hot, you get so hot, like they'll take off their clothes. And if you find like clothes, that's usually a good indication of hypothermia. Another case was like Jason Landry out of Texas, and he took his clothes off and then ran off. And I kind of wonder if that was hypothermia. And another thing they call with hypothermia you do is called bargaining. And it's where they'll crawl under a space, and it'll be like the tightest space where like they'll force themselves in there. And that's part of this. I think where like this bargaining thing with hypothermia could happen where people weren't found. I mean, there's a lot of land, and it the body will decay and then smell. And then once that happens, it doesn't smell anymore. You're looking for bones. So, that's when it gets hard, unless like an animal scatters it and, you find a bone out in the woods and like, hey, this looks human. But I don't know. I mean, with this, could there be foul play? Could he have been robbed? Could he have drowned? There's a lot of lakes, they said. Could he went hypothermia and he bargained, he put his body underneath something where they haven't found him yet. And then could he start a new life? Could he hit his head, have amnesia, start a new life? Could he hit his head, die later, have some internal bleeding, and then walked a little ways, and then he was a John Doe that didn't get identified? I mean, something happened here. I was watching one earlier, I think on the first one, they were saying there was like a bunch of alien sightings that day. I don't know. I don't want to go there. But I tell you, with some of these cases, you kind of wonder.
You feel like you warm up kind of
right.
thing, especially.
It's only been 2 years, or two.
Yeah, that's very
years.
possible. Like I said, we've tried to look as many ponds and creeks as possible, but with the Mississippi being right there, it's just a really hard
Mississippi River. Yeah, that's a big river.
I think that's been the scary thing our whole family has thought of.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you hear somebody's missing in that area, that's probably where your mind goes first, is the Mississippi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't know if that's what happened. I don't know if he'll be found. I pray that's not what happened. But I don't know.
So
we have been called twice about remains found in the Mississippi, and your heart stops. It just stops. We do have him in CODIS now. He's now entered in CODIS.
See, that's the thing too. I was going to say with the, maybe being a John Doe, not being identified. I wish I knew when this interview was, because if he was a John Doe that they found, and if the bodies, where they cremated him, they put him in an unknown plot, You know, I don't think they keep those bodies too long, and could that happen before he got put into CODIS? CODIS, I believe, like he'd pop up, like with DNA and stuff like that. There was one case, and God, I have to find it, but there was a woman and her daughter. I think she was like in her early 20s, and the mother intuition too. I hope they ask her. I can't remember. I've seen this before, but I hope they ask her like what her theory is, because the mother's intuition. Let me go ahead and put myself up here. The mother's intuition is powerful, and I believe a mother does know to the extent, with these things. If she thinks the Mississippi, that could be what it is. But this story, this young lady, so the mother of a young lady who got hit by a car and ran off, and they never, and then they never found her. And she was missing for a while, and she went on like the websites and looked for like, Jane Doe's, and she found this one, and like, I guess, her body was so mangled they physically couldn't tell what she looked like, but they had a description of her, the age and her weight and all that stuff. And the mom just kind of knew like this is my daughter. And she reported it, to the police. They checked it out, and then they checked it out and they come back, it wasn't her. And then, she went in every night on the internet and looked these things, looked up all these Jane Doe's. And then like she kept at it again. She waited a while. She kept at it again. And then I think like, her intuition told her, like, I think like this could be my daughter. And then she had them check again, and they made a mistake. I can't remember what the mistake was, and it ended up being her. And I think this took like 9 months to maybe a couple years. But her intuition really helped her find, identify that was her daughter. And when I heard that story, I thought about that. I was like, I don't think that's the first time that something like that's happened. Now, I don't know if this has, any relevance onto this or not, but
He's entered in Amos. One of my daughters and I shared pictures of tattoos. So that's in Amos, where if you go to his profile, you'll see every tattoo he has, because we get calls about a body found. I know one was in North Virginia, somewhere. It was far away in North Carolina. I can't remember. And she said, I'm calling for a tattoo verification. And your heart just stops, it's like that moment's just frozen, and it's just heartbreaking. So I'm thankful that they were able to enter in the tattoos, because, the police can look up that information and see the tattoos, and then we won't get those phone calls. One of his daughters and my DNA has been put into the system.
Good.
On the chance of any type of remains being found, they can compare it to mine and his daughter's DNA. So we've done that. They've also got his dental information in that also. Good. So all that's been taken care of.
That's all good. That's helpful.
And I do have a question from the chat, but Denise, I was going to say, I know you wanted to ask them this one.
No, that's okay. So I there was a question in the chat about another kid in another young man in the area. Those are not connected. There's also another one missing out of Collinsville, which are very close. Mm-hmm. They're not related either. No. So I kind of wanted to throw that out there. But Christina asked, she answered my question about the DNA and dental records and that, are they on file? And I'm glad to know that they're in CODIS. So that's
yes,
good.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. And one thing I just want, this has come up a few times in chat as I knew it would. So I'm going to say my piece on it real quick. Christina, we had talked about this. So if you want to add anything, you can. If not, that's okay too. But Misty Edwards first, she says, I hope you find him soon. I'm so sorry. I can't imagine. And then she asks a question, and she's asking because her sister passed away in 2014, similar kind of thing. But she asked about drug usage or anything. So her question is, was he an active user? He absolutely was not an active user. We want to make that public, right? And you had said, we had talked about this before, and you had said to bring it up. I said,
There's
because it's come up like 5 or 6 times. So I just want to make sure everyone
Oh,
knows.
I'm sure it has.
Yeah,
And
he was not an active user.
If any of that information had any bearing on this case whatsoever, I would speak out on it. But it has no bearing on him being gone. He honestly was out having fun with friends.
Right.
He obviously had some drinks or whatever else was going on at the club. I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't say what was done that night. I was not there. And honestly, it has no bearing on how he went missing. For people to think, oh, it's because of drugs or whatever, and he just decided to run away from home. That's not what happened. We know he didn't leave on purpose because he wouldn't have asked the bus driver, I need to get home. I need to go home. Right. That's all he wanted to do was come home. So, as far as drugs has no bearing on this case. I think I know a lot of people are curious and they want the whole story. I don't have the whole story.
God, I hate to bring this up. Yeah, this is delicate, but for being transparent, I can't remember, was he suicidal? Because going home also can mean go home, like go to heaven, or so I don't know. It's tough. I'm not. She's right. She wasn't there. Just because he didn't do drugs before doesn't mean maybe that time. And someone could have slipped something in his drink too. I'm just throwing stuff out there. I know it's delicate, but
right.
And I'm not going to speak out on something.
You gotta look at everything
that I don't have any proof of, and I wasn't there. Like I said, the people he was with that night, I didn't know them at all. Yeah. So there's nobody I can even ask, because hey, what happened that night? And I really feel in my heart of hearts is whatever happened that night at the club has no bearing on what happened later, that he got lost. And now if he was still in a car with the friends and they disappeared, or there was,
I don't know. I respectfully disagree with that. It could, somebody slipped something in his drink, got an altercation with somebody, maybe he's talking to somebody's girl, who knows? I mean, like, it just could have been a freaking psychopath, serial killer could have been there that night and targeted him. I mean, you can't, you don't know. If you don't know, you really can't rule anything out. I'd say it, you got to really look at everything. But she's not the police, she's a mother, but I'm speaking for, like, if I, trying to figure out what happened. I guess I'm speaking like if I was a detective, which I'm not. And I, didn't play one on TV, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn, but
something that happened and he disappeared later, then I would dig deeper into that line of questioning. But unless I was there and had 100%,
I wonder if she hired a PI, private investigator.
Proof. I'm not going to speak out on anything regarding that.
And kind of adding to that, just in a different way, because Carla had said something about if someone possibly put something in his drink. I don't know if they looked at footage from the club or something like that, if that could have been why. Or
Well, I know they did look at footage in the club. The only footage I saw with Josh in it was him in the parking lot.
Okay.
That's the only footage I saw of Josh at the club was in the parking lot.
Keeping that to the vest.
Okay. To everyone in the chat asking about psychics, I don't take a personal stance on that. If
what about
wanted to
public?
Can I please?
Sure.
Private investigator.
I hear probably 2-3 times a week from people about psychics. And I know some of them are trying to be helpful, and I appreciate it. I really do. But
What'd I do?
Everyone that has called me or that I've talked to or that has messaged me has a different story.
Right. That's the problem.
So that's really hard for me to want to see another psychic, because how many times can you go to a psychic and hear different things? So I don't put I'm not saying there's not psychics up there. I'm not saying that at all. But it's very hurtful when someone claiming to be a psychic messages you and says, "Oh, Josh needs me to tell you this." Right. Or we saw him and he was shot. Or I've heard from psychics, one said it was gruesome. It was not a fun call at all. That he had been shot, where his body is. Well, of course, his body wasn't there. Another one that he drowned, another one that he passed away in an old barn because of hypothermia. Another one said he was on the railroad tracks, he tripped and fell, and he's going to be in the brush. It's very disturbing, and it's so hard to hear. And like I said, I'm not saying that psychics aren't real. I'm not, but yeah, unfortunately, there are people out there that's going to call these things in, and I don't think they understand the torment they put the family through. Right,
because you got someone telling you that they know, so you give it a little weight, Yeah, and it's very hard. Every one of them has a different story. So here's the thing: if you talk to 100 of them, at least 99% of them are wrong. How do you know who's the right one?
And that's the problem, if it's somebody I know well and they recommend me to somebody that's went to one and they've heard, they've been right or whatever, then I would try and keep an open mind about it. But I haven't. So, I get asked about psychics all the time, and that's not something that's viable for me any longer. I think I just don't think it's for me, just because I've heard from so many so-called psychics that it's just hurtful, it's painful, and it hasn't provided any information that's helped. So
I know he didn't have his phone on him, Christina, but have you guys went and looked to see if anybody has tried to log into any of his accounts, whether it be banks or Facebook or any social media? Have you tried to see that at all?
Well, unfortunately, the phone is locked. We've decided, me and one of the other kids have the phone in our possession, and we are not going to have it looked into. And the only reason for that is we believe strongly that Joshua has a right to his privacy. Right. If he had the phone on him, that'd be a different story. I'd want to see phone records or whatever, but he did not have his phone. And to me, Josh deserves his privacy. That's, and I'm not going to break that. We contacted the banks we knew about. And like I said, he was a grown man. He was 32. I don't know where all he banked. I know of one bank, and we did contact them. Sorry, I gotta fix my chair. And they originally told us over the phone that they didn't see any transactions. Well, after that, we weren't really given any information because of privacy laws. And we recently went to the grand jury and got subpoenas for bank records. We don't want to know any personal, what he bought. I don't need to know anything, about it. Just is there a transaction? Has money come out of the account since the 19th of March? That's going to tell us a lot.
Mhm.
I think, unfortunately, if there's been no transactions, that's not good news. If there is transactions, that might give us a date, a time, a video. Was it Josh that made transaction, or was it somebody else? Was he robbed? We don't know. So it's going to answer a lot of questions for us. And I'm very thankful the grand jury sided with us on the subpoena for that. It took a while. We're still waiting on news. I don't know how long that wait's going to be. But I think we'll know a lot more once we get the news of the subpoenas.
Okay. Denise, I'll start by asking you, and then of course we'll finish with Christina. Since we're kind of nearing the end, is there anything that you wanted to make sure that is said or asked or anything like that? If not, we can go right to Christina.
No, I think she's answered a lot of questions that,
Good, yeah.
I wanted to make sure people understood Josh's case and what you're going through, what your family's going through. I just want to express to you, my heart is with you guys all the time.
Yeah, me too.
Whatever I
If you're
can do,
listening, me too.
if it's a search, anything, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm there for you. I understand, and we'll do what I can to help and keep his word, out there, because that's important. I mean, this is my hometown that he's from, so I live here. I see this, and anytime I can help, anybody, even if it's not my hometown, I go out and help and do searches. But this is a young man from the town I live in, so I want him found. I
appreciate it. Thank you.
I can tell you, if anybody means that, it's Denise.
Right.
I don't want to go off on a tangent here real quick, but there are so many people online that try to be helpful. And there's the people, everyone calls themselves advocates, which they are, but there are so many people that they'll go and they'll make like a 2-minute little flyer in Microsoft Word, and then when the case is solved, they'll say like, "We helped solve the case," and it's like, you can't take credit for that because you made a little flyer. There's 50 of them anyway. It's just, I feel like there are a lot of people that when I watch their action, it feels like they're doing it not to help, but more for the appearance of their help kind of thing. Whereas Denise is like the most genuine person.
Oh, definitely.
She's always out there helping. So like
I said, I met her on the first search, public search where people actually came up to help. And I've been talking to her on Messenger, I think, since that first week. And
I think your family thought I was a little bit crazy going into some of those buildings. I did not hesitate to walk in the buildings or go into the woods.
Oh my God. Well, I remember telling you one time, please don't go by yourself. I think you were headed home from work and you were going to stop. And I'm like, oh gosh, I mean, get a nervous breakdown. But yeah, I get real nervous when somebody's out there by themselves, for sure. But yeah, you are very appreciated.
Was there anything you wanted to get out or make sure that is said or answered that we haven't got to say? Christine?
I do. About Josh's site, I know there's not much new to inform the public of it, because we literally have no tips, no leads right now. But please don't stop sharing his picture. And I know shares have gone down. And I know it's probably because there's nothing new going on. And I get that. But it takes a second to push that share button. There's so many new cases out there now that we try and share. And I noticed today one only had like 35 shares.
Yeah, it's not a very popular case. That's why I wanted to cover it. When was this? I want to look and see. Was this a year ago? This stream was a year ago? He went missing March 19th, 2023. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to see when the stream was, and she said they just got like all his phone record stuff back, and then he's in Covis. That's good. That's moving forward. That's progress. I think that's all. That's all. Those are all really good things here. And yeah, let's just go. Sorry, let's play the rest of it. I think they're wrapping up. I'm probably going to wrap up here.
I need you all to share.
Absolutely.
And there was a
There is
man missing in St. Charles the other day. Luckily, I
website.
think he was found.
Facebook.
And I try to keep up to date on that too. But share. It takes a second. You know, it really, it's so, we appreciate you all. I know at the beginning everybody was sharing. We get like 1,000 shares, you know, and we so appreciate his face staying out there in the public. And I know I heard a comment, well, doesn't this take away from Josh's case? No. Josh would have been one of the first ones to share. You know, it's just something that I'm passionate about. You feel so helpless when it's your child missing. And I feel like if we can help another mother,
So, yeah, I mean, this shows you how good a person she is herself, to where she's, you know, talking about other cases when her kid's missing, you know. And I kind of want to say, like, there's a lot of similarities to Tyler Davis, who went missing out of Ohio, you know. But sounds like Josh here went missing himself, like ran off himself, you know. He went with some friends that he didn't know. I can't remember the story. Like, he started a new job. I think he just they were traveling on some sort of job, and he just kind of met those people. So, you know, I do wish they would have, and maybe they did, and they just didn't tell her. But hopefully they looked into all the friends, you know, the footage. Hopefully there's footage there inside the bar. If there's outside, I'm sure there's probably inside, but I don't know. Maybe not. So yeah, I want to see, like, did they post like I want to get like a flyer maybe up on him here. You know, has his face, and I don't know how to screen cap all this stuff, but well, there's a picture of him. It's not let me. Like, I like to get one up that has his face and the date he went missing. So many missing people. I believe that like 4,500 people are reported missing a day. I believe like 2,300 of those are children are reported missing. Here we go. Here's one. Let me see if I can pause this.
About what happened to their loved one. 32-year-old Joshua Amos vanished nearly 4 months ago. Fox News' Callista Matrician joined his family and law enforcement today during a multi-county search.
Think to yourself, if this was my child, if this was my dad, if this was my brother, my uncle, my cousin,
there's his mom.
You would want to know.
And
we deserve answers.
Just 2
Some
years ago.
150 people searching on a rainy, humid day for Joshua Amos. The 32-year-old last seen March 19th walking.
Whoops. Let me go back. I want to get. Oh, here's footage of him walking.
And intoxicated after a night out with his friends in Washington Park.
Yeah, you can tell where he
It
walked.
was only about 18 to 20 degrees and very windy. So he didn't have a coat on.
The search started just a few feet from EJ Trucking, where a security camera picked up on the last place Joshua Amos was spotted.
On the camera, he.
Hold on, let me get these subtitles off because I want to put these. They're taken away from the. Ah, fudge. Subtitles off. Speed normal. All right, let's go ahead and play this again here. Start with his mom.
Joined his family and law enforcement today during a multi-county search.
Think to yourself, if this was my child, if this was my dad, if this was my brother, my uncle, my cousin, you would want to know. And we deserve answers.
Some 150 people searching on a rainy, humid day for Joshua Amos, the 32-year-old last seen.
So there he is. I'm gonna leave that up for a while. Hopefully, I don't know how my screen captures these, but Joshua Amos. I actually grew up with a kid named Joshua Amos. Definitely not this guy. He'd be 50 years old or more now. But he was 32, born in 1990, which means he would be 25 now. 35. Sorry, my math. 35 math. 5'11", 190 pounds. Granite City. Probably didn't say that right. And I believe this is Illinois, where he went missing. Tuesday, July 18th. This is the original search. That's when the search happened. But he went missing February 19th. No, March. I'm sorry. Yeah, March 19th, 3/19/23 is when he went missing. And there he is. And I'll go ahead and play the rest of this video but that's him. If you see him, there's footage of him walking there.
On March 19th, walking and intoxicated
he has
after a night out with his friends in Washington Park.
It was only about 18 to 20 degrees and very windy. So he didn't have a coat on.
He just had a shirt on, yeah.
The search started just a few feet from EJ Trucking, where a security camera picked up on the last place Joshua Amos was spotted.
On the camera, he was shown walking to the east. We know that there is a church at the end of Lincoln where they have cameras, and he did not show up there.
Illinois State Police reopening the search. Bomarito Automotive Group Skyfox over the 350 acres of land being searched near the trucking company property. The Facebook page Bring Josh Home takes anonymous tips and has a $10,000 reward.
And so we just came out to support, to do what we can to help them and hopefully get some closure for the family.
The wooded areas and the terrain was very thick with vegetation this time of the year. Discovered a lot of things out there, but none of them panned out to be Josh.
They found animal bones, clothing, and junk.
Is staying strong for his two little girls. They miss their daddy. Please call. Your girls need you. I need you. Your brothers and sisters have been looking nonstop. I just love you so much, and we need you back.
In Fairmont City, Illinois, Callista Matrician, Fox 2 News.
It's really been one of the strange.
Yeah, that was the Mark Sanchez thing. So, yeah, hopefully this young man's found. His mom, heartbreaking, really upset there. And, not knowing's the worst. Losing somebody is bad, is horrible. But not knowing, 2 daughters left behind, said he was a great uncle. Sound like a great guy. Maybe it was a case, wrong place, wrong time. Hopefully he's out there. Hopefully find him. It's been March. It's been over 2 years, right? Going on probably, March 10, 7. Yeah, we're over a year. 2 years and 7 months, if that's the right math. But yeah, 35. He'd be 35 now. So, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end that now. Thanks for. Well, if you come back and watch this, thanks, and God bless. Stay safe out there.